Let's go across now to Harsh Neotia, past president FICCI, chairman Ambuja Neotia Holdings Limited, joining us, I believe, from Kolkata, if I'm not wrong. But anyway, good to have you on, Harsh Neotia. Let me just first start by asking you the same question which I asked Mr. Mehta of HUL. Harsh, that as far as your own area is concerned, you know, real estate and all of that, have you seen any shift in terms of between the past couple of quarters? Have things started to pick up, or is there still stress?
So if you take real estate, I think there has been a significant pickup, particularly in the last 6-8 months. Of course, there has been the buyers have been very conscious to not pre-book apartments with builders where they are not comfortable about delivery, etc. So there has been a bunching of demand towards more credible developers.
Right.
But having said that, there is definitely a significant pickup, and I see that sustaining, at least in the housing space. In the commercial space, it's been a mixed bag. Some cities have done very well, particularly Bangalore, Hyderabad, etc. And some cities like Calcutta are yet to pick up on the commercial side.
How are you finding it for yourself, for Ambuja Neotia? Are you seeing, are things looking good, or are you still under pressure?
No. On real estate, we are looking good. I think we are comfortable. On hospitality, there has been a very clear divergence. Resorts have done extremely well, better than pre-pandemic. But the city hotels are still hurting, partly because
of course,
international traffic is not here, and even big weddings and MICE.
And you keep locking down, opening up. So,
yes.
Yeah.
So that is hurting. So I think probably now, if we don't get another wave, we should be back on track.
Okay, fingers crossed. Now let's come to the budget, and let's talk about infrastructure, because that's become a big talking point for this budget, and it kind of broadly links to the area where you're in, where many have said that they are happy with the government's continued sort of commitment to building infrastructure as a way of spurring growth, creating jobs, etc. But again, you know, not to be a skeptic, Harsh Neotia, but these are announcements that were made in previous budgets as well. Even in the last budget, there was talk of an infrastructure pipeline and all of that. Do we actually see that big shift on the ground? Have those promises translated into reality, so we can take the current set of promises more credibly, or is there a gap between what is often promised, you know, during the course of the budget speech and the actual action?
Frankly, on the infrastructure front, I think this government's performance has been pretty decent. Not that everything happens, because we know that there are sometimes litigations, land acquisition issues, and other issues that come in. But having said that, I think there has been a considerable, push on infrastructure. It has accelerated in its implementation, and then during the pandemic, we saw relentless activity in many cities on infrastructure. So I would feel encouraged by that. And therefore, I feel that this continuous push on it is very essential. We all know that India's infrastructure needs a lot more to be done to reduce the cost of doing business, and generally for the convenience of its people. So I think that focus is well-founded.
Okay. But if there was, so before we let you go, if there was one good thing or the biggest positive in this budget that you saw, and the biggest negative or absence or area of worry that you felt wasn't addressed, what would that be?
Well, one of the big positives I saw is that there's continuity. They've not tinkered around with tax rates. They've not done any surprises. I mean, there was a feeling that they might bring in some further taxation to increase the tax collection because of the deficit, but that hasn't happened. So there's been, I think, an attempt to create a more trusting environment. I think there's also a reference to in the finance minister's speech about the need for dispute resolution in a faster manner. So those are some of the things which I feel are very positive, besides, of course, all the investment. And the negative, I feel, is that there was no specific address to the urban poor or the urban unorganized sector people, or particularly self-employed people. While there is a Manrega for the rural, probably there was a need for some opportunity for the urban poor.
Okay.
So that I found missing.
Before you go, would you like to attempt a rating? Rate the budget 1 to 10?
Well, that's a difficult one, so I'll give it a pass.
You pass. Okay.